Is the picture visible to you?
It is. It is.
I act. It's very difficult to say the learnings of this course in 10 minutes, what I have learned in these 10 months. It won't be enough. So I will only try to tell some of them. Hope I would be able to express my words how much the learning has affected me. So on the orientation day, we were asked to write down our questions on a rock. So this was my question. As a human being, what I am doing to my society.
Sorry. This time, someone. Okay.
As a human being, what I am doing to my society. When I was asked to write this question, when we were asked to write this question, I wrote this question as more of a environmentalist, with a view of environmentalist than a teacher. This was general and I didn't know any answer to it. After 2 days, when we were in retreat, I faced two of my biggest fears: height and water. I used to regularly dream I'm going in a car and suddenly there is water all around me and it's constantly rising up. And when the car would still be running after, it would fall in a big hole which will just appear in the middle of the road. And this pattern would have, and the pattern of the dream didn't change, only the vehicles changed. And I would just fall into that hole and I would wake up with a feeling of weightlessness. And I can say that those dreams has just vanished. So I can say that I have conquered my fears. What a beautiful beginning to conquer of this journey when you conquer your fears. What next it could offer? What next this course could offer me? That was the question I constantly had. I am joking. Next learning came when we saw the video of Mirambika. It was shown by Dipti ma'am in Perspectives in Education. It left me awestruck that there can be such a school where a student can follow what his heart says. After going back home, I read so much about Mirambika. I searched on websites. I saw the videos. I was not ready to believe that education can be done like this. After watching that video, all my thoughts, how a teacher should be, just went tumbling down like building blocks. It was like Dipti ma'am was pressing Control and Z button on my thoughts. If nothing can be taught, was the Rabindranath Tagore's motto, then what is the role of the teacher? Was the question that haunted me. Till I got to know that teacher is no longer a teacher, it's more a facilitator. Next learning was finding a purpose of lesson plan. I was always asked this question by Smriti ma'am when I went for pre-observations. No matter how much I was prepared for that, you always questioned me something that I could not answer. At that time, finding the purpose of life was much easier for me. I couldn't understand why it is important to find a purpose of a lesson plan, for how it would be relevant in a student's life. But when I finally found the purpose of a lesson plan called food, I saw a shift that happened in my children in the form of their short break. I could see the transfer. Next learning was about the connection with the students. We are told so many times that you have to make connection with your students, but I had no idea how to make that connection. I was completely clueless. I started observing them as told by our faculties. So I noticed a certain action they did and called it floss. I went back and researched on it and got to know that there is a game called Fortnite, and in that there is a winning action. The next day when I went back to the class, in some conversations I asked them about Fortnite, and the questions they asked me, I could see the excitement in their voices and I could see that I have broken the ice. So the learning was, to build connection with children, you have to be with them wholeheartedly. I cannot be someone who just gives them lectures or helps them in studies. Next and the biggest learning was, I had helped me in putting my words to my thoughts. It was very difficult to express my thinking in any way, whether it was writing or speaking. I could never process my thoughts, but now I can. And I know that there is still a long way to go, but at least I am on that journey. Last and the most important learning that happened for me was in the sociology class. When Manish sir gave example of Ashok Vihar, where poor people were not allowed to enter in park, and he asked, who will decide who will use the park? To whom does this place belong? These questions forced me to challenge my beliefs. And the final nail was when I read the book Jhutan by Om Prakash Valmiki and saw a video, India Untouched. I felt embarrassed to be in so-called upper class. Manish sir asked a question about being born in upper caste and elite. Do I continue to enjoy the privileges I got, or should I distribute them as a person? I'm still finding those answers, but these are the things that I have. Rohini, can you click? So after all this, I want to come back to my question, as a human being, what I am doing to my society. And you cannot see, but I have struck it off. And it is now, as a human being, what I am doing for a society. I have found a purpose to my life, though it's very vague. It's so vague that I also laugh at that. But I think I will be there to achieve it. I will be able to achieve it because I can dream about it. And as Kalpana Chawla said, dreams are not just dreams, they are the first step to reality. With this, I want to end. I have written a few lines for all of us as a community. We took a long but effective path to world transformation, which will go a long way in making of nation. After a lot of learning, I found out that prevention is better than cure when we will be governed by morals rather than laws. World will be more pure. We at IAT will work together like a cog in the wheel, where we are facilitator and have a great feel. Don't lose hope with negativity around night and day. At the end of dark tunnel, there is always a way. This poem of Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, and who is my idol, has inspired me a lot and always inspires me. 4 lines, just 4 lines, and I will end it. क्या हार में क्या जीत में किंचित नहीं भयभीत में कर्तव्य पथ पर जो चला जो मिला ये भी सही वो भी सही, ये भी सही वो भी सही। थैंक यू।